And you're watching RTM 1. I'm your lovely host, Rob, who could use a shave. And that's my laundry basket. That farts. Ah. A little recap on what I was speaking about last episode. Turns out Hasbro is doing the blind bag treatment with the kreons. So the Kreon minifigures are both getting released in combiner sets with four characters to make the combiner, and then mini they're having those two mini bag sets and just the figures. That's how you hold them, like that. I like tea, just gotta dip them in hot water. And there's gonna be blind bag figures with all sorts of fun stuff like Springer and Spinister and Waspinator. And that's pretty rad ass. Now, for you people who are concerned about the missing fifth member in these combiner teams, I have a text message. The missing combiner team members, well, they're in the blind bag sets. They're not actually necessary for the combiner, but you can still get that fifth member and maybe substitute one out, or who knows, maybe like the Micromaster combiners with that extra member who just kind of snapped onto the back and did nothing. Probably give, a Predaking a butt. Made a rampage. So for you guys upset, complaining, disappointed, there it is. Just like the My Little Pony blind bags, and I'm pretty sure the Littlest Pet Shop blind bags have this too. There's a code system on there that Hasbro's put in where you can actually figure out which ones they are. And if you go to your favorite Transformers news site, all of them have it listed for the first wave, which is beginning to show up now. Depending on your area and how well your stores stock, that's going to be the deal there, because who knows. Other news: Regeneration 1 issue 81 came out last week. Now about the digital issue on Comixology, I'm going to kind of wait till the trade paperbacks to buy print issues of them, because I'm just so used to Comixology now, it's kind of odd. But I did go about to it by the comic shop this past weekend, and I wasn't planning to buy the 100-page spectacular, because it's basically the last 4 issues of the original Marvel comic, which I already have in multiple forms. So I wasn't really worried about buying it digitally or anything until I saw it in print. So I bought it because I'm a sucker. And it's actually, if you don't own those issues, buy them. But in print, it's actually a nice little book for a $7.99. It's got a little thicker cover there. I don't know. It's just kind of neat, this little presentation. For me, the whole original Marvel comics are my bread and butter when it comes to Transformers fiction. Sodapalooza. And seeing them continued is, even though I know it's the first time they've continued, there's Generation 2, and the fan club comics attempted to do it with the classic story. It's still a treat for me, and this is done by the original writer and Andrew Wildman, the artist at the time of the Marvel comics. Needed all the UK stuff, and the Marvel UK stuff is I like sanitizer. Is some of my favorite stuff to read, so it's really nice to have my preferred version of Transformers comics back, and I'm definitely like about it. Well, one thing also that's been on my mind, people have been complaining that the new Generations figures are smaller. Now, I'm saying the new Transformers Generation figures. Those ones using older molds are, the same size, of course. Turns out, as from San Diego Comic-Con this past weekend, those formerly Asian exclusives are going to be sold at Toys R Us. Now you don't have to pay ridiculous, exorbitant import fees for me. You just go to your local Toys R Us. Because, I want that Springer. But, also for you people who are still fussing about first edition figures, they're going to have those too. Hasbro, don't listen to the fans. You guys are right. But I keep hearing about how Generations figures are smaller now. And, you know, I stopped by Toys R Us and I saw the fall Cybertron figures. And, you know, people kept saying they were scout sized. They're not. They are not scout sized. You know, Prime looked a little shrimpy. It's obviously a Voyager design made to a deluxe toy. So he's obviously a little shrimpy. He didn't have Shockwave. Someone picked him up. Turns out when I got online and got on the Georgia Transformers list, there's a guy on there picked him up just like maybe an hour or two before I got to the store. But he was already picked up, so I didn't get to see him in person. But they had Jazz and Optimus, multiples of them. And I grabbed Jazz. I'm going to get Optimus, but I grabbed Jazz because I wanted him. I like Jazz. Now, while Optimus was kind of shrimpy, he was comparative to me to the RTS G2 Optimus mold, which was a little bit smaller. I think that was due to mass distribution or whatever. But here's the new smaller Generations figures. Now, this is a Scout. You know, so I mean, hold on. It's not the same size. And you know what? Even Optimus, who's a little shrimpy compared to Jazz, isn't this big. Now to show you guys how it compares up to recent figures, you know, he's the size of a Prime Deluxe. But and you know, some of my friends are saying, yeah, it's not a tragically bad design, but when you put him up next to previous Generations figures, they look really small. Well, here's Classics Rodimus from 2006. Well, this is the newer deco, but I have the 2006 figure, but regardless. This is a mold from 2006. It's not too bad of a difference. In fact, it's about the same size. Now, Optimus looks a little shrimpy. And from what I gather, seeing pictures online, a Shockwave, he's a little shrimpy too. Pardon me. But as I said prior, I believe that's a case of, just like that RTS Prime and other figures before it in the past, really that's a visual design that you would expect to be bigger in a smaller toy. So, you know, if that was a Voyager or whatever, it'd probably be perfect for that design. But as said, I don't mind it. And, you know, I've actually said before, and this is where some people who just can't accept other opinions are going to be like, you're an Hasbro apologist. And it's like, no, you're a bedwetter. I kind of don't mind them being a little smaller in theory. Now, the prices are going up. That's economy things that's happened. And that blows because the toys are getting a little smaller and the price is going up some. That blows. I mean, that's just a fact. Not everything's fun when it comes to, you know, the market and everything. But for a very long time, there's been several toys I wish were smaller. Like Red Alert from Armada. You know, he was a Voyager. No, yeah, Voyager. Well, it was the $20 class. It wasn't called Voyager then. And I bought the toy thinking, man, he should have been a deluxe. I mean, if he was the deluxe, he'd have been perfect. He'd have looked much more detailed. It'd have been much more fitting. And by that same accord, I remember seeing like all the pictures of Demolisher before, you know, he came out. And I was thinking, man, that's not a very impressive looking toy. Because I thought he was going to be a bigger toy. You know, it said he was a deluxe, or I think they called him Supercon at the time. Even though they called he was a deluxe, he looked like a big toy in those pictures. And, you know, I was a big fan of Armada, but I was saying, man, that doesn't look very impressive to me. And I see him in the store as a deluxe. It turns out he is small. And he looked great. And I think what I'm saying is sometimes I think a slightly smaller size helps a little to work with the design and detail on these guys. You know, the whole time the animated toy line was out, I thought the entire time this should be a smaller toy line. Like maybe they should all be. Honestly, they could all have been Scouts, you know. I'm sure like Scouts and Deluxes for the larger figures, you know, and I've been perfectly fine with those designs as far as I'm concerned. Um, I know that's not a popular opinion probably, but that's just me. So with like some of these guys being a little smaller, I don't really mind as much as like it seems like the detail shows off better when it's condensed. To me, anyway. What do I know? I'm just some crazy neck bearded guy who needs a shave. Well, that's gonna be it for this week. I think I've blabbered enough. Hopefully, I'll have this up within the next day or two. No promises. Well, you guys check out tfradio.net for shows and showtimes. We got a recent interview with Bill Forster and Jim Swordson about their new books, Transformers Legacy, which looks amazing, and the G.I. Joe book, which also looks pretty cool. So you guys check that out. That's tfradio.net for shows and showtimes. And thanks for watching your RTM1.